Welcome. For those of you who've been with me since day one, thank you. For my new people, hey. So for today's recipe, we are going to be making pumpkin scones. So I did a poll on my Instagram page because this week I wanted to focus on pumpkin, and the options were pumpkin muffins or pumpkin scones, and you guys chose scones. So I used to get these at my favorite coffee shop when I was craving scones, but I'm positive these are better homemade. So let's get to it. So before we get into the ingredients, please know that this is a 3-part recipe. There's ingredients for the scones, and then there's separate ingredients for the 2 different glazes we are going to make today. So for this recipe, you will need 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 stick of unsalted butter, cold and cut into 1/2 inches, 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree chilled, 3 1/2 tablespoons of buttermilk, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of 1/2 and 1/2. For the pumpkin glaze, you will need 1 tablespoon of pumpkin puree chilled, 3/4 cups of powdered sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1 tablespoon of 1/2 and 1/2. For our plain glaze, you will need 1 cup of powdered sugar and 2 tablespoons of 1/2 and 1/2. Make sure to preheat your oven at 400. So now we're going to mix our dry ingredients. So I put all our spices in one bowl already. So we're just going to whisk this together. Ooh, this smells good already. Okay. So now I'm going to bring over my food processor, my very tiny food processor. So this is going to definitely be an adventure. And I am going to put some of my flour mix in here without trying to make a mess. If you do not have a food processor, you can absolutely keep it in your bowl and whisk your butter. I just find that this is easier, especially when your butter is cold. And I am going to add a couple pieces of my butter. The idea is that you don't want big pieces of butter anymore. I feel like this first batch here was successful. I'm going to pour this out in my bigger bowl and do the other half. So now we're gonna mix our wet ingredients in a separate bowl. So we got our pumpkin. Now we're gonna add our tablespoon of honey. Now we're gonna add our buttermilk. Extract, and now we whisk. Now we're gonna bring over our dry ingredients again. So what we're gonna do is create like a well here. Now we're gonna pour our wet. We're gonna work this all together using our hands. Not the best feeling. So if you're not a fan of this, I would suggest using a glove. So you're really just gonna work this until you incorporate everything, and it is very sticky. So I'm gonna move this out of my bowl and put it on my surface here with some flour. Here's our flour for our counter. And I am going to bring this out. All right, so I'm just gonna work this. And then the idea is that you're going to shape it into like an 8-inch round. I think I'm gonna need a little bit more flour. All right. This is what I think, it's a little ashy, is an 8-inch round. So now we're gonna cut this into 8 slices like you would a pizza. You should probably flour your knife because it's sticky. Now we're gonna put this on a baking sheet. Now that they're all transferred on the cookie sheet, I'm gonna brush each one with 1 tablespoon of half and half. So you're gonna put these in your oven for 13 to 15 minutes or until your top is golden brown. So while our scones are baking, we're gonna start working on our glaze. So first we're gonna do our plain glaze. So I have my powdered sugar in my bowl already. And now I'm going to add my half and half. I'm gonna keep it close because you might need to add more. All right, we're gonna put this aside and then do our pumpkin glaze. So I have all of my ingredients for my glaze in this measuring cup. And I'm just gonna add 1 tablespoon of half and half. And we're just gonna whisk it right here in our measuring cup. Just gonna go for a little taste. All right, that's good. Almost forgot the key ingredient to our pumpkin glaze, which is the pumpkin. I knew it didn't look orangey. Tastes good, but the color was off. It's okay. Let's see now. Yep. So I'm gonna transfer my pumpkin glaze into a piping bag. You can use a Ziploc bag if that works. I just want to do that because I'm gonna design my scones once they're done. So here's my piping bag. And I'm just gonna pour my glaze in here. So I took my scones out the oven. I did bake them initially for 13 minutes, but once I did the toothpick check, I realized I needed more time, so my scones actually baked for 18 minutes. So now I took them out and I put them on this cooling rack. You should let them cool for at least 10 minutes before glazing them, because you don't want your glaze to be runny. You want it to actually stay on top of your scone. So now we wait. All right, so our scones are cool. Now we're gonna glaze them first with our plain glaze here. So there's no real pretty way to do this, but you want this to be your base. Go bring over my pumpkin glaze. I'm just gonna do some zigzags here over. Oh, this one makes it fancy right here. You see that? Got some extra pumpkin flavor. And I made just enough because we're getting to the end here. This is visually not as pretty as I thought it was gonna be in my head. I pictured the glaze being really thick and white, and you can see it, and these little orange swirls being prominent here. But what I can guarantee is that it's gonna taste bomb. And now for my favorite part, we taste. Here we go. Cry. Please try this one at home. You have to. That's good. So if you want to take a chance on this recipe, please be sure to take a picture and tag my culinary page at Culinary Adventures, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, bye.